Hey, welcome to Gospel Rant and DrBillSenyard YouTube channel. New series, Breaking Badly, They Never Went to Shiloh. Imagine a nation collapsing, violence spreading, civil war erupting, families betraying each other, faith disappears, and somehow everyone still insists we're God's people. That's the book of Judges. But here's what's shocking. The collapse didn't begin with war. It began with something much quieter, something almost invisible. Throughout the entire book of Judges, Israel never goes to Shiloh. Not once. And I will tell you why that matters in just a minute. Shiloh was everything. The core to Israel's sense of worth, identity, feeling of being loved and lovable as a people. It was where God's presence dwelt among them. It was where sacrifices were offered. It was where the tribes were commanded to gather. It was a place where they sought the Lord, submitted to His will. They were reminded who they were in His arms, messed up and all. And in Judges, no one goes. Not the people, not the leaders, not the judges. Instead, one phrase echoes again and again, everyone did what was right in his own eyes. And the problem wasn't just idolatry. The problem was this. They stopped seeking God. That's humanity's core problem. And the result is celestial loneliness and isolation, which you feel, but maybe you have never been able to name. Welcome to Breaking Badly. I chose a variation of the name of a very popular show back in 2008, Breaking Bad. It fits. You're going to see why. This is a journey through the book of Judges, the story of how people who knew God, who experienced His presence, His faithfulness, His miracles, still slowly drift away from Him. And here's why this matters. Judges is not just Israel's story. It's mine. It's yours. It's ours. So welcome to Gospel Rant Podcast and DrBillSenyard YouTube channel. I'm your host, DrBillSenyard. We are free wherever you get good podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways you can help us grow to reach more people is by leaving comments below if you're on YouTube. Thank you sincerely for that. Also, thanks for making Gospel Rant Podcast one of the top 10% podcasts in the world. Thank you for listening every week. We hope that it helps to regularly hear about God's love that innately loves the unlovable, the unloved, the unlovely, the unworthy, the unlikely, and the hurting. And that's all of us on any given day if we were just a little bit honest. So a context for the series. Let's get our bearings. Judges covers about 150 years between Joshua and Samuel. It's part of a larger story scholars call the Deuteronomistic history, which includes the scrolls of Deuteronomy, Joshua, Judges, Samuel, and Kings. These aren't just history books, they are theological history. And they ask one big question: why did Israel fail? And more importantly, how can they be faithful next time? If you want to understand Judges, you really need to understand two commands. Number one, no idols. Deuteronomy 12. Destroy completely all the places on the high mountains and on the hills and under every spreading tree where the nations you are dispossessing worship their gods. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Asherah poles in the fire. Cut down the idols of their gods and wipe out their names from those places. Deuteronomy 12, 1-3. So destroy them, avoid them, don't flirt with them. And why? Because idols promise us significant security and belonging, but they don't deliver. There's dopamine hits, don't get me wrong, but they don't deliver long term. We're wired to pursue the dopamine hits of idols. Think career, health, wealth, AI, screens, sex, sexuality, food, alcohol. Even religion can become idolatrous apart from God. And a lot of religion is. And second, so number one is don't pursue idols, tear them down. Number two is worship God where He chooses. Deuteronomy 12, 5-8. But you are to seek the place the Lord your God will choose from among all the tribes to put His name there for His dwelling. To that place you must go. There you bring your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and special gifts, Verse 8, you are not to do as we do here today, everyone as he sees fit. Deuteronomy 12, 5-8. So 3 times a year, according to Deuteronomy 16:16, everyone is supposed to appear before the Lord where he chooses, the place he chooses. And God chooses a place, Joshua 18:1, Shiloh. That's where his sanctuary was set up. Jerusalem had not yet been conquered. The holy place, the altar, the priesthood is going to dwell in Shiloh for over 100 years. That's where God commands that all the tribes come to worship, to look into his eyes, to experience his love for the unlovable, the unlovely, the unloved, the unworthy, the unlikely, the hurting. Israel's different, not because they were more righteous, they weren't, more faithful, they weren't, smarter, cleaner, nope, but because God's powerful presence dwells among them. And the love, honor, and indemnity that comes from that. We have all asked the question at some time, what is God's will? It's a multifaceted question, and no doubt the answers as well. But for sure, he wants us to regularly come into his presence, right up into his face, and re-experience his love for us as we are. Why? Because that's how we are wired by God, to find out our sense of identity, worth, and value from him and his measuring gaze, from his point of view, from his eyes. To experience being a person of worth in his gaze. That's core to us. We look for that in all the wrong places. We're supposed to come to him. Not whenever you feel like it, not however it seems right, but where he says, right, where he is, and that place back then was Shiloh. And that's where everything breaks down. So here's the insight. Avoiding idols is hard. Judges 10, verse 6. Again, the Israelites did evil in the eyes of the Lord. They served, the word is avad, the Baals and the Ashtoreths, the gods of Aram, Sidon, Moab, Ammonites, and the Philistines. And because the Israelites forsook, the word is abandoned, azav, the Lord, and no longer served him. There's that word again, avad. It's not all our fault. There's something badly broken inside of us. Our brains have been wired badly by past hurts, wounds, bad relationships, former gods, if you will. And nothing has hurt us more than relationships gone by, spiritual, emotional, the whole thing. So we have a love-hate relationship with any relationship, especially one so other, so strange, so unbelievable as the one we have with God. Talk about odd couples. It is actually at a very deep part of our soul that we're terrified by this relationship subconsciously. It's just, first of all, it's too good to believe. And secondly, what happens if he walks away? That kind of hurt is just unimaginable. So subconsciously, we see submission to God as something more akin to slavery. We fear it that way instead of a relational gift for us, because nobody gives us that kind of gift, that kind of love. So it's frightening. Because the Holy Spirit empowered submission means asking God what to do in our lives, obeying when it's uncomfortable, saying, not my will, but yours. And Israel didn't do that. I mean, right? I hesitate doing that. I resist doing those things. So Judges 2:12, they forsook the Lord, the God of their fathers, who had brought them out of Egypt. They followed and worshiped various gods of the peoples around them. They provoked the Lord to anger because they forsook, there's that word again, abandoned him and served Baal and the Ashtoreths. Not just once. They acted like orphans regularly, independent, self-directed, doing whatever made sense to them. That should sound familiar if we were just honest, right? One point I want to make, you've probably heard of the cycle of the judges. That's how this book is usually taught. And it's real. I don't think it's the main point of the book. But, sin, then oppression, then crying out, and then deliverance. And I just think that's too simplistic. I think it misses the point of Shiloh. So here's a deeper cycle that I think the lens we're going to look at Judges through. God's people want to belong to him, but live independent from him. And God lets them. There it is. God's people want to belong to him, but we want to live independent from him. and God lets us. So the better cycle is this. The independent adopted child of Yahweh consistently abandons Yahweh. We don't depend upon the Lord, and we do things that just make sense to us. We are stubbornly independent, and yet we believe that we are of God. In truth told, we want the desires of our wants fulfilled, not by God, but whatever God shows up. Frankly, we want to be identified by God, but independent from God, and so God gives us over to what we want. All right, you want that? Go for it. You will never be satisfied with it. God would say, I've been telling you for centuries that only I'm going to so satisfy your deepest desires and longing. So run to me, empty and open hands as you are. And what are you going to do? Change on your own? Good luck with that. So today, think of people's approval, career, money, security, sex, sexuality, certain political party. God was right, it turns out. We're not satisfied by the gods we rabidly love, but now we can't break free from either. And finally, it becomes so bad that Israel has to cry out to Yahweh to help them again. I mean, you can feel ashamed in that, right? The intrinsic, deep, painful, once again, we messed up. What's wrong with me? You know, I did it again. What's wrong with me? I'm just a bad person, unfaithful, selfish. I'm a betrayer of Yahweh. Even after I said I would never do it again, I did. You know, how many strikes is this? And yet, God keeps showing mercy to his people. He keeps pursuing the unworthy, the unlovable with his love. I mean, who does that? And he does it again and again. He raises up flawed deliverers. And by the way, that's what all of them were. Deborah, you know, the least flawed of them. He rescues people who keep abandoning him. Why? Because his compassion is just not like ours, not like the people we know. And that's where this story is headed, because Judges is not the end. Samuel is coming, David is coming, and ultimately a king who will finally succeed where everyone else has failed. The incarnation and flesh manifestation of his love for the unworthy, the unlikely, and the hurting. Me, you. But for now, Judges, where God's people break badly by doing what's right in their own eyes. And this is our heart too, even our saved, redeemed heart. We have such a hard time re-experiencing God's love for the unlovable, the unloved, the unlovely, the unworthy, the unlikely, and the hurting. We can't seem to look up. We just can't help ourselves by chasing idols that don't make us feel loved or worthy or special. They may give us those dopamine hits, right? They do, and that's good, but that's very temporary, and that's very addictive. We can't seem to rest, so we scramble. Instead, it would be so much better to ask God for Shiloh over and over. Simple, actually. I mean, the telling thing is that we don't, we won't. And here's one way to do it. Just say this gospel presentation to your breaking badly midbrain over and over, twice a day, for as long as it takes. Do it. You know, how long? Do it until people notice. For now, just let it wash over you. I get it. This sounds so simple, simplistic, almost humiliating for you to say out loud. You want to, your prefrontal cortex goes, I've already got that. We're not talking to your prefrontal cortex, we're talking to your midbrain. So it's going to take repetition, word for word. Say it aloud over and over. Say it to people. Have someone say it to you. Repetition, 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 right? So here it is. Jesus follower, strictly because of what Jesus did for you 2,000 years ago, God actually loves you. He loves you with all of his heart, as much as the Father loves the Son and the Son loves the Father. He can't love you any more or any less than he does right now. He loves you as you are, not as you should be or could be. You can't add to this love or take away from it. Now, I get it. It often feels like you've messed it up or need to do something so that God would like you better. Not so. How do you experience it more now? Simple. Good news. There is something you can do and are invited to do. You can take daily baby steps to ask the Spirit inside of you to make you know, experience, and feel just how much God loves you right now. Just ask. Ask again later today. Ask tomorrow. Make it a spiritual habit. Again, twice a day, aloud. Say it to someone. Have someone say it to you. Think about what's happening inside of you as you hear that. What jumps off the page? What do you push back on? What do you would love to feel again? Those kind of things, and just write those down or remember them. But again, twice a day, and keep doing it. Just keep doing it, at least throughout this series. Yeah? Okay. New book coming out, Good Enough Parent. Parenting is really hard. Parents, you got that, right? And too often, Christian parents feel like they are really messing up things, doing a poor job, ruining their kids. So I pulled together 18 biblical, neuroscientifically informed, very doable tips that can help. No shame, no lecturing. You may be surprised just how easy and helpful they are. Honestly, anyone could do them. And the bottom line is this: parents, if you're feeling this love of God for the unlovable, the unloved, the unlovely, the unworthy, the unlikely, and hurting, particularly shamed and frustrated parents, your child is going to notice the difference. They may not say so, but they're going to notice the difference. You'll see what I mean. Check out the book. In fact, you will begin to feel God's love for your child. Not your love for the child more, but God's love for your child. That they'll definitely notice. And the goal of the Good Enough Parenting program online in the book, the goal is to be your child's best pal when they're 30. That's the goal. So check it out. Get copies to your church and Bible study, your book clubs, the Christian parents you know, your children, if their parents are going to be, and they will thank you. Yeah? All right. We'll see you next time. Take heart, child of God.